Hello and welcome to my short video which covers 10 top tips for class teachers when supporting dysregulated students in class. This video is brought to you by Deionne Dunnage. Tip 1. Using student and parent voice. Parents and carers are the true experts on their children. To fully support the child in and out of school, you should therefore coordinate and share knowledge with them. They could share strategies that work at home, as well as providing an insider's knowledge on the triggers and how to manage them. Not only will building a relationship benefit the child, but it will also help the parents and carers feel at ease around their child's education. Your commitment to working with them will build their confidence in the school's ability to support their child. Establish an open communication with parents early. Find out what motivates the individual student, what triggers anxiety, and what they're like at home. A phone call tells parents that you care and that they can reach out if they need support. Now, building a relationship with children is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, dedication, and patience. Now, just remember, their behavior is the communication of an unmet need. Once you learn what their needs are, you may find things become much easier. So, using what works for them, from them. Support their social interactions. For instance, for a child who dysregulates when other children approach them during playtime, try prompting the other child to take part in their interests in a way which works for them. This could be to hand them items they need during their activity. For example, if a child is lining up blocks, the other child can hand them more blocks to add to the line. This is an easy way to reduce possible anxieties around social interactions while beginning to establish rapport and social relationships. Tip 2. The use of routines and structure. The world can be often a confusing and anxiety-inducing place for some children. This is why they find great comfort in predictability and routine. Creating a visual timetable is an effective and widely used method for doing so. This involves placing images and simple words on a timetable in chronological order to describe the activities and transitions in the child's day. Having this visual aid gives the child a sense of security while also acting as a reminder for those who support them. We may need to break down lessons further with schedules for activities. 10 minutes of sustained attention has far more value than 30 minutes of anxiety. An activity that requires skills they've not yet perfected might feel impossible or overwhelming. The students might not see the stages in learning and they may fear failing. Tasks and activities should be broken down so that the stages are clearly mapped. Give them timings. How long is the activity going to last? The learner may be struggling with sensory issues and anxiety will only intensify these. They will not want to waste their time. Studies have revealed that children are most likely to miss out the unnecessary steps when given a task. These students might not simply follow something you have on your plan. They like to know why, and they want to know for how long. Provide a visual way to show time elapsing. Use a sand timer or an adapted clock. Add timer symbols to schedules if that will help. As we build trust, they will begin to stretch themselves, but we must gauge individual pace. Also, ensure that the tasks either have a functional purpose or are related to their motivators. Well, ideally, both. Tip 3. Preparation for change. Changes and transitions can be incredibly overwhelming for some pupils. Changes are often unavoidable and even necessary in schools, but you can alleviate the anxiety they induce by preparing them beforehand. Attaching some predictability to an unexpected task can help it feel less daunting for the child and give them time to mentally adjust, avoiding disappointment and building trust. You can also ease transitions and a young child's stress during transition using consistent songs, objects, picture schedules, or gestures. For example, you might want to try singing a cleanup song. Tip 4. Positive reinforcement. Integrate their interests. Some children have highly focused interests, whether it's roller coasters, electronics, unicorns, or a certain period in history. These interests can all be used as gateways to learning. This could be where you plan to integrate words and pictures related to their interests in the activities that they're doing. Doing so can make a huge difference to how engaged a pupil is. We all like rewards. Think about your individual students and find a way to show that they're working towards a reward. Build this into your lessons. Provide meaningful, positive feedback for their efforts and their progress in a way which works for them. Let them experience success. Avoid whole class punishments. Never remove a reward earned, and listen if they suggest an injustice. You can add free time as a reward, but never threaten to remove it. How do you get them to want to follow you? How did the Pied Piper get the children to follow him from Hamelin? He played their music. Tip 5. Low arousal approaches. Some children struggle with their sensory integration. This may cause them to have intense positive or negative reactions to sensory stimulation. Some learners may see things differently. They may experience pain from sounds that we do not notice, or they may be highly sensitive to touch. Anxiety will heighten these sensitivities. If your room has too many colourful posters, strong smells, a range of voices at once, lots of children walking around, clutter, or unnecessary resources on their table, you could be creating an overwhelming environment. Do what you can to remove or reduce any stimuli in the environment that's causing them anxiety. Try to facilitate an environment where your child can feel calm and comfortable. Tip 6. Agreed calming strategies. Timing is important and we need to recognize the signs of overload. You may see outward signs such as sensory avoiding and sensory seeking behavior, an increase in repetitive behaviors, withdrawing or running away, increased echolalia, and self-injurious behaviors. It'd be useful to have access to calming resources such as a sensory box or basket with a range of fidgets. You can provide comfort through deep pressure. You can teach techniques like deep breathing and counting, positive self-talk and social cognition. Develop some simple exercises or routines that are calming. Activities such as yoga and reading after break can be useful. Allow time for physical activity that works our children's muscles to get tension released without the aggression. You can do this by having your pupil carry a heavy backpack, lifting a small stack of books, or pushing the table to change its position. Tip 7. Something different. Distraction. Providing a distraction can take a person's mind off what's bothering them. Talking about favourite topics and interests can make them more likely to appropriately engage in the desired task afterwards. This provides time to engage the thinking brain and enable them to be more rational and use calming thinking strategies to support their self-regulation. A break from a task can give a child time to regulate. This is a good preventative strategy to avoid a child becoming unsettled, perhaps due to taking part in a non-favourable activity or requiring them to take part in the task for longer than they can attend and focus. It's particularly important to prompt a child to have a break if they're becoming unsettled or dysregulated. This will help teach them that if they're not able to take part in the task, they need to have a break. During a break, it's a good time to teach calming and relaxing strategies. Teach replacement behaviours. If the child can follow directions, teach replacement behaviours that are incompatible with the desired behaviour. For a child who grabs at other people or items, try teaching the child to follow simple directions, such as hands down, fold your hands, or show me waiting hands. Tip 8. Consistency. It is the building block of trust. It allows boundaries and expectations to be set, which actually provides children with a sense of safety. When unexpected changes occur, their safety and security is impacted, sometimes causing anxiety and frustration, which is often expressed in what staff perceive as challenging behaviour. While we cannot predict all changes, having consistent routines and expectations is a solid foundation that helps them adapt to changes as needed. Be consistent, be fair, and listen. Let them know they can talk to you and ask you questions. Keep your promises. If you say an activity will finish in 5 minutes, then stick to it. Say what to do rather than what not to do. Instead of using a negative command like stop jumping on the chair, tell the child jump on the floor. Consistency means that we follow through with what we say we're going to do. Think carefully before making a demand or stating an expectation. Giving in instead of holding our ground will backfire on us in the long run and sends the wrong message. Inconsistent consequences can strengthen undesirable behaviours. Tip 9. Use of a safe space. A safe space is an area of the learning environment where a child can go when they feel overwhelmed or need time and space to regulate behaviour and regain control. They would rejoin the rest of the group later. It promotes self-care, self-nurture, resilience and recovery. Safe spaces should be readily accessible to the child so that they can go there safely and independently when they need to. It requires a clear discussion with the student so they understand why and how they're using it. It could be in a dedicated room or in a particular corner of a room, a pop-up tent, a cloth over a table, an area outside the classroom with clear physical boundaries, a chalk circle in the corner of the hall with a cushion. You could also consider involving the pupil in planning this. Don't use the safe space for a movement break or as a reward. They don't have to earn it. Neither should they be used as a punishment. They are necessary to support pupils with their self-regulation. Tip 10. The use of language. Simplify language during times of dysregulation. Avoid complicating your language with metaphors and rhetorical questions. Keep any instruction or general classroom communication short, simple, and to the point. One clear instruction at a time. Be sure to speak in a calmer, quieter tone. Complement with the use of gestures, such as those commonly used in Makaton. Some learners may benefit from visual cues, which reduces the need for spoken communication. Use visual cues to indicate when they can have preferred items. When children feel that they can't predict when they'll have access to items or activities they want, they may have a tantrum. Add predictability through visual cues, for example, with the placement and removal of a laminated X on particular items at predictable times before they request it. Use the student's name so they know that when you're talking it relates to them. If the student does not yet speak, then provide the means for them to communicate in their own way. Consider what your body language is conveying. Is it open or closed? Are you in their personal space? Are you at their level? Recognize when emotional coaching approaches are necessary and ensure your language reflects this. Following these 10 steps will enable you to provide a supportive, conducive environment and a route to self-regulation, emotional independence, improved academic progression, friendships, resilience, and self-actualization. Thank you for watching.